Okay, true crime fans, it is True Crime Tuesday, and this is our last case. Here's Johnny. That's right, it's a celebrity case. And what do we have for celebrity cases? We have Barefoot Bubbly. Why? Because it's like some champagne, and we will toast. Woo! To justice and to Johnny. To justice for Johnny. So, as I have told our friends here before on the True Crime Grapevine, look, this is the grapevine. I'm squeezing some juicy rumors. I'm following, for the Johnny case, Mel and a couple of the behavior panel and the behavior language guy, Jesus. Hey, Jesus. And I am following a little bit Heather McDonald, and of course the esteemed, the ever effervescent, the here's to you lawyer crew, all the law nerds over at the Emily Show, Emily D. Baker. Seriously, if you want to know anything about the law, especially like that defamation case, I'm interested if she's going to cover she's covered a little bit of the Petito case, and Emily D. Baker, she is the person you want about the Johnny Depp case and really all the pop culture, especially like the housewife cases and anything having to do with celebrities. So, we've got our champagne. I'm not going to talk that in depth about Depp, but from what I've seen, number one, let's just remember that men can be just as much a victim of DV as women. And so in the case this week so far, I'm getting confused because, let's see, there was a psychologist that took the stand, and I'm going to not remember her name because of dyslexia, but because so this is what happened, because Amber Heard had said she had PTSD from dealing with Johnny. That opened the door for them to go, okay, well, hey, you have to be checked then by a psychologist, right? Because we want to make sure it's accurate. So this woman was to pick an expert. You meet with them. So she met with his legal team, and Johnny was there, and then they included a dinner. And so, of everything she said, she was like, talked about that Amber Heard displayed attributes of borderline personality and histrionic personality. Histrionic personality is kind of an older term for things that now we would call, like Dr. Grande, who I also love, who's you should watch his videos on YouTube, Dr. Grande. He calls it vulnerable narcissism. That it displays aspects of personality where they are unable to separate. They have they're insecure all the time. And that went just along with everything that had been described by both Johnny and previously other witnesses about her. Their fighting technique was she would follow him and he would try to be like, look, I need a space. We need a timeout. And she would be like, no, you need to keep, she was enmeshed is another word. I'm not sure the psychologists use that, but in psychology, we talk about enmeshment, where you can't separate yourself from the other. So she, even in a highly volatile situation, it's like she only could get or keep his attention through dramatic, very highly intensified feelings. This is my interpretation. This is my speculation. And we've all seen relationships like that, where they fight and make up, and it always seems to be full of drama. This is what that seems like. But it seems a little bit more, in my estimation, just from watching some of the broadcast about it, a little more calculated on her part. And his background with his family seems to have engendered a sort of tolerance for women who are overbearing or overbearing. which is kind of how he described his mother to be towards his father. And we know in psychology that the modeling that we see does get set, and we do tend to, whether it is good or bad, we tend to follow this, be attracted to the same and create the same models of family that we grew up with. So that's kind of interesting. So, I mean, you can break cycles of things like that, but it is very hard and it takes a lot of therapy. And it sounds like Johnny Depp very much willing to, I mean, even though he was addicted to drugs and she was with him when he tried to get over them. And even, it sounds as if he was constantly trying to appease her, and when he couldn't, he would want to get away from her and isolate, and she would follow along and not let him. And that would eventually lead to a big... Somebody is whistling. Isn't that lovely? Anyways, I'm just going to finish this up. So, the biggest thing about Johnny Depp and his finger getting hurt, that whole story that he told and that was explained, and that when when Rottenborn, her attorney, was questioning Johnny Depp, it was very interesting about the fact that he described her throwing a bottle that eventually hurt his hand, and then when he went to the hospital, he didn't tell on her. Which reminds you of people who are like, oh, I walked into a door. Like, they don't tell the whole story. So if we're going to assign victimhood, I definitely would not assign it to her. There was the other story about the Amica cream. Apparently, Amica cream, the makers of it, the brand that they held up, there's like a concealer cream packet, compact, and she said, I use this every day, and like basically to hide bruises. And people were like, you didn't have bruises. And the manufacturer tweeted back and were like, that wasn't made until 2017, and she had already filed for divorce. The other kind of juicy little tidbit was she was seeing other people, and there is it was on, sorry, that's my kid. So on the YouTubes, who was it? It was Planet Popcorn. Andy Signor, I believe his name is, had on a person who lived in the same apartment complex that this all took place in, and she described a very different scenario, and she was talking about the cameras and how you could see where Amber Heard let in James Franco on the mezzanine level, and she said you had to let in somebody from the parking area in that level, and it's exactly as long as it takes, and that's why she came down to get him. Her story did not jive with that. She was like, he just visited, and she's like, no, you would have to, he didn't just pop in, you would have to purposely go down, and that's exactly what that showed. So his Johnny Depp story of her cheating